Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to a breaking news story. We have breaking just a half hour to 40 minutes ago. The alleged perpetrator, possibly in custody in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The perpetrator wanted for murder of CEO executive Brian Thompson is potentially in custody. NYPD is traveling to Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is 300 miles west of New York City. It's smack dab in the middle of Pennsylvania. And kudos to the McDonald's employee who called 911 when he saw the picture of this alleged defendant, inside McDonald's trying to get food, acting suspicious. A civilian saw the news reports and called in to 911. Altoona police. He's in custody with a manifesto, with a weapon, with a suppressor, with 4 fake IDs. This is outstanding news.
And we have breaking news on the search for the man who shot and killed a healthcare CEO on the streets of Manhattan last week. 2 sources familiar with the matter tell News 4 investigators are following a new possible lead in that murder investigation connected to healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A man in Altoona, Pennsylvania, is being questioned because he was found with a gun similar to the one used in the shooting. And News 4 chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst is on the phone with us right now with all the details that you're uncovering here. John.
Yeah, Adam, police believe this could be a major break in this case. It was a suspect, a man who was seen in a McDonald's, and employees and patrons at that McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, were concerned that the man resembled the suspect wanted in the New York shooting, so they called police. Police arrived, picked him up, brought him to the local police station in the Altoona, Pennsylvania area. And under questioning, they found he had a fake ID and a weapon that appears similar to the one thing they found. He had a fake ID and a weapon that appears similar to the one used in the killing of the CEO. Now, you'll recall the person who checked into the hostel here in New York also used a fake ID, a fake New Jersey ID. And investigators are looking to see if that is, in fact, the same ID that was used during that check-in at the hostel in New York. So they are not calling him the suspect at this time, but there is optimism, there is hope that this is a major break in the search for a suspect in the shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Last week, he was shot at point-blank range in front of a Midtown hotel. And there has been a manhunt ongoing for days. And now a man is in custody being questioned in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And we are told that investigators are looking to see if he had arrived recently on a bus that had come from Philadelphia. That is not yet confirmed, but that is one angle that they are looking into, whether the man who's being questioned at this hour had just arrived in the Altoona area off of a bus from Philadelphia. As we all know, earlier in the week, PD had said they were concerned this suspect had left New York City on a bus from the bus terminal up near the George Washington Bridge and had left to go out of state. So the question is, did he take a bus from New York to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and then perhaps take another bus out towards the Altoona area? That is all being looked into, and that is, of course, if the man who is in custody in Pennsylvania is one and the same, and that this is not just some sort of coincidence. But right now, investigators from the NYPD are en route to Altoona, Pennsylvania. The FBI has been alerted, as have other agencies, and the investigation very much ongoing. But again, a man spotted in a McDonald's in the Altoona, Pennsylvania area has appearances similar to the suspect wanted in New York for the shooting of the UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Customers and employees called police. They arrived. When they arrived, they found that man had a fake ID on him. They took him in for questioning, and at the police station, they discovered he not only had the fake ID, he had a gun that was very much similar. It's like an animal gun, along with a silencer, similar to the type of gun that was used to shoot CEO Brian Thompson.
Now, I want to just say this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make this really clear. If, in fact, that gun forensically matches up to the gun used to murder CEO Brian Thompson, this is an ironclad slam dunk case. That combined with the fake IDs, if those were the same IDs or one of those 4 identifications, the fake IDs he had on him, he used to check into the hostel, and then you have the weapon recovered, forensically matched up. This is a grand slam, home run, everything, all of the above. This makes the case 1 gazillion %, ladies and gentlemen.
Along with a silencer, similar to the type of gun that for questioning and at the police station.
So here's a look at New York City. I'm showing you the cursor on the map. The buses that left out of the Port Authority bus terminal did, and this news agency didn't speak about it. They talked about via another method coming in from New Jersey. But I heard locally from, I believe it was ABC7, that the bus terminal in New York City had buses that left directly from New York City to Altoona, Pennsylvania. And they match, if they can match up that he got onto that bus using those fake IDs or whatever he used to purchase the ticket, whether it was cash, there's all kinds of video surveillance. It is an ironclad investigation at this point.
And they discovered he not only had the fake ID, he had a gun that was very much similar. It's like an animal gun, along with a silencer, similar to the type of gun that was used to shoot CEO Brian Thompson. And again, there are appearances and other factors like possible bus travel that are raising questions if law enforcement has the man in custody. It is still too soon to know, so it is a person of interest who is being questioned, and the investigation very much ongoing. And if this turns out to be the break that police are looking for, there may be an official announcement later this afternoon by the NYPD, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit there because, again, as of now, a man is in custody in Pennsylvania being questioned in connection with whether he is the man linked to the shooting of that UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. Adam.
Because we're going to go to News 4's Mark Santia right now, who is on his way to Altoona, Pennsylvania. And Mark, based on what Jonathan's saying, and I know you've been working the phones with your law enforcement sources for 5 days now, as they have searched for this mystery murderer. Fair to say that they would characterize this as a promising development, the most promising development yet in the search for that suspect?
You're absolutely right, Adam. Multiple law enforcement sources are saying this could be a major break in the case. And we aren't the only ones heading west on 80 right now, Adam. I can tell you, just got off the phone with multiple law enforcement sources who say NYPD detectives are heading out west as well. They're on their way to Altoona, Pennsylvania. They want to talk to this person. They obviously, from this, there are several leads coming from this. But the way it was characterized to me, Adam, is this is sort of classic see something, say something. This is cops and community working together. NYPD detectives have been working nonstop on this case, Adam, since it happened last Wednesday. They've been working it. They've been pulling hours and hours of video, getting photos out to the public and disseminating them. These photos, Adam, have gone worldwide. And now, today, what we're hearing when you had employees and customers inside that McDonald's saying this person looks familiar, it's all because of that work done by NYPD detectives disseminating those photographs that people said, this person, something's not right here. This person looks like this other person who we've been seeing photos of. And they spoke up. They called 911. Police responded immediately. But it's also important to know, Adam, this is a very strong lead. And the NYPD has had dozens of leads come in since last Wednesday. Since Brian Thompson was killed, they have had dozens of leads come in. And what I've been told is detectives, investigators, they've chased down all the leads. Some leads have come to nothing, to no fruition, but they don't know that until they run on it. They ran on this lead, Altoona police, they picked them up, and now detectives are very, very interested in what they're characterizing a very strong possible break in this case. Again, he had a fake ID on him. He had a gun in his bag on him that resembled the gun in the shooting last Wednesday in Midtown. And that's why they're on their way. Again, detectives on their way right now. I'm told the person of interest who was taken into custody was wearing a black jacket inside that McDonald's. And I'm told his physical features he strongly resembles the person of interest that we've been showing photos of for the last 5 days, Adam. So again, detectives are heading to Altoona. We're on our way as well. And we'll let you know as soon as we hear more information, we'll let you know. But again, this is being characterized.
This is huge. It's breaking all over the place. Ed Wallace is joining us from Mobile. Ed, how are you doing? What's your thoughts on what we got going on here today?
Well, it's a good day for law enforcement if in fact this is the guy. And everything is falling into place. I mean, it's like a puzzle, and all the pieces of the puzzle are now coming into place with what they're finding on this guy. I really want to see what this manifesto is. What is his ravings? What was his beef? What did he write about? Because it sounded, like the Unabomber, okay, Ted Kaczynski. What's going on here with this guy? It's raining where I am, so I was outside for a little bit. I'm still working on my nephew's house.
Gotcha.
I got contractors all over the place here.
No. We appreciate you coming in and taking out the time here. I am also going to be running. I'm kind of going to be running to Sloan in a little bit, but this, in fact, because of what they're reporting here, this can be what we're looking for. And I talked with you last night and Joe Cardinale about Rachel Morin and how that suspect was caught. He was caught because a civilian inside a bar called in a tip because they saw his face, which was plastered all over the United States and worldwide. Same thing in this case. A civilian working in McDonald's saw something and said something. And that's why I say all the time, thank God there's more good people that cheer for justice than the bad people that cheer for the bad guy. And that's what we have here.
Just the show we did last night, there were plenty of people in the chat saying we're never going to catch him. Yeah. All right. Well, he's caught. Getting that photograph where he took his mask down in the hostel was the key factor here. Yeah. Getting that photo out to the media and broadcasted around the world. Okay. And so now people had the media made this case high profile, and getting that photograph out there by law enforcement was critical here to getting that phone call from the civilian who saw him in McDonald's. Yeah. Now, he's got multiple felony counts on him. Each fraudulent ID is a felony. Okay. All of this, and the gun, the suppressor.
You're starting to use my terminology. Ed, let's talk about if all of this matches up and comes back to him, how significant is sourcing through social media, the news? Sometimes we say the news is our best friend and sometimes our worst enemy. But in this case, because it's plastered all over the place, what we're looking at is matching up those IDs. If, like you said, if he used that at the hostel to check in and he's got that in his possession. And some people in the chat are also saying, why did this guy hang on to the gun? I talked about mental illness last night. This guy's not playing with a full deck. You would have thought that guy would have took, like you said, you and I spoke yesterday. You said he could have went into Central Park and dumped that and off camera into any of the sewers in Central Park, and it would have took a long time to find it. But this guy held on to it. He held on to it and traveled 300 miles away. Let's take a listen, because this is Deputy Commissioner retired John Miller talking on CNN.
Breaking news in the case of the murdered health insurance CEO in New York City last week. Police are now questioning a man in Pennsylvania in connection with the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. CNN's Bryn Gingras and John Miller join me now from
investigators right now. Now, Dana, that there is someone that is being questioned by investigators right now in Altoona, Pennsylvania. This person is 26 years old, according to sources telling John Miller. We've learned that they actually got a tip from someone at a nearby McDonald's in that area who said, hey, this guy looks like the person that's in all those photos.
And this is why I love our good, law-abiding citizens who are cheerleaders for justice. Nobody wants a murderer running amongst themselves. And anybody that's in the chat or anybody that watches a replay that wants to cheer on someone who's taken somebody's life, and I don't care what the person is too alleged to have done, the victim, at this point, if you're cheering for somebody like this, you need to go and check yourself in for mental health counseling.
Have been
Right, Ed?
No, absolutely. And, I'm sure there were other people, loved ones, family members, friends, maybe even co-workers that knew that this person was unstable. And, we got to get these people help. We got to get them off the streets.
Yeah.
Now, your part when you did the warrants, now you have an extradition hearing. You got to bring this guy back to New York. You got to get a judge's order, take a buccal swab, get his DNA, compare it to the DNA that was obtained from the articles that were collected already in evidence. And the same thing with any hairs and fibers. You could get his hairs and all that. And then the fingerprint.
As we know, Brian Kohlberger was apprehended in Pennsylvania as well. He waived his extradition, but he fought it in the beginning. Most of these perps, their attorneys that get assigned to them tell them, hey, look, it's just you're wasting your time because all your time in custody is not going to count while you refuse to waive that extradition. But the extradition, I've done it many, many times from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. It's a pretty seamless, it happens very quickly. So if in fact he is placed under arrest today, we could see him back here possibly by Wednesday, maybe even Tuesday. Depends on how quickly things go. But I'm sorry to cut you off, Ed, but I just wanted to add that in there. Waiving extradition, some of the people in the chat were asking about it. If he gets into custody, how are they going to get him back here? U.S. Marshals have to accompany a felon who fled from a jurisdiction, say fleeing from one state to another. The U.S. Marshals have to travel with this perpetrator, and we'll see him either travel back by car because it's 300 miles. It's a reasonable trip to take, or they could possibly put him on a state chartered plane.
Well, we have our own fixed wing airplane and we have our helicopters. It's an easy flight out there, and we bring them back in. It wouldn't be the first time NYPD, like we flew out to Teterboro and picked up a terrorist and then flew him back in our helicopter. We flew. It was Ramzi Youssef.
Right.
We flew him back over the World Trade Center. That was he was responsible for making the V-bed that was detonated in the underground garage in the 1993 World Trade Center attack.
Right. Yeah. Let's listen. Ed, you got all these. This is what's great about having, guys like ourselves here, former law enforcement. We know about all these cases, and he'll be back here in no time once he is officially placed under arrest. And I see that forthcoming very soon. If in fact everything aligns up. Let's listen to the retired I believe he was first deputy commissioner, right? Miller?
Yeah, John Miller, yes.
So let's listen.
And that's how he was brought in for further questioning. And in doing so, according to sources telling John, that they found a lot of evidence that could point in the right investigation for authorities at this point. They found a gun that resembles the one that was used in the murder last Wednesday. They found a suppressor, which is basically another word for a silencer. It muffles the sound of a gunshot. We know that was also used in the killing on Wednesday. And they found a number of fake IDs with this person. One of those, according to sources, the NYPD does believe was used here in New York City. Now, also, if you remember, we reported that investigators believed their person who was responsible for this killing used a fake ID to check into a hostel in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So it's possible that is one of those fake IDs. We've also learned from sources that there were some sort of documents that were with this person that is, again, brought in for questioning at this moment. And they're still going through all of those paperwork to figure out exactly what is said in those documents. But again, these are significant developments in this case, in this manhunt that has stretched far past New York City limits. And now we know that someone is in custody. Someone is being questioned with authorities right now in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and John, let's go to you.
Before John talks, this gets the comment of the whole live stream right here. Tassels Keep says, would you like an arrest with your fries? He was in a McDonald's trying to get some food. And again, it takes 1 weak moment. And when we squeeze and crush this person's world and make it small, they are forced to do desperate things. And he did something that would be just a normal thing if he would have went in there with cash and just didn't put maybe a mask over his face or sent somebody else in to get the food for him. But he's obviously a loner and by himself. And he made
I tell you what, don't mean to cut you off. McDonald's is getting a lot of play lately in the news, between Donald Trump cooking fries in McDonald's and
you have so much of this excellent reporting. Add to the color and the context and the information that Bryn just started to give us.
So, Dana, this starts as a very routine day in a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, which has like 3 McDonald's. But an employee there looks at this person and has been seeing on CNN and everywhere else these photos from the NYPD of this masked person with the hood, where they're saying, look beyond New York, because we think the person has left the city. And she believes that this person resembles the photos that have been put out. She calls 911, gets the Altoona PD. They respond to the McDonald's. They engage this individual. And as they get him to identify himself and look through things, they find a gun, they find a silencer, they find multiple false IDs. And when they begin to compare those notes with the police in New York, they find out that one of those IDs matches the name, perhaps even the one we're looking at, that he used a fake New Jersey driver's license to check into that hostel in Upper Manhattan. So along with all of that, there are some documents that the police said seem to be relevant to this case. I think we would stop short right now because we don't have enough information of calling that a manifesto, but we are told by investigators they believe he's carrying documents that may relate to motive.
Hey, Ron?
Okay, I understand you're
Yes, go
saying
ahead, Ed.
stop short now. In
What,
connection,
was it? Okay. So, folks, New Jersey was one of the states that, if you read the 9/11 Commission report, the 9/11 hijackers got fraudulent driver's licenses from New Jersey. Now, the really, really good, expensive IDs are being made in China and can be purchased on the dark web and even the internet directly. And they ship them directly to your house in pairs of 2. Okay. And there are such good quality that our law enforcement scanners and the TSA scanners at the airport would be tricked by these IDs. And so, all you do is pay your fee through the internet portal and give them all your pedigree information and a digital photograph, and they'll produce these documents for you. And then how they get them past customs into the United States is a lot of times they slip them in another shipment to make it look like an Amazon shipment.
Right.
A lot of times they'll slip them in like a pack of baseball cards and get it past customs and deliver to you. And they even tell their customers, hey, if you get busted with our product, please identify the mistake that we made and we'll correct it and refund you and give you new IDs.
It's sad, it's sad but true, and it's scary, Ed. 5 Minutes Fast says McDonald's employee 60,000 richer. Yeah, if this person is arrested and convicted and found guilty, they're going to get this reward.
Now that we have a potential name, the law enforcement, when I'm saying we have his name, they can scrub his social media to see what he's been putting out there into the public arena, what his ramblings are. And before they announce it, because what ends up happening is after the media gets a hold of the name and they announce it, then the social media companies are going to scrub the social media accounts and pull them down as fast as they can. But law enforcement, thank God, has the jump on it. Will get a hold of that information and make that a part of the case.
Right, absolutely. Franklin Prachado says 50,000. No, it's 50 from the feds, from the FBI, and 10,000 from Crime Stoppers, New York City Police Foundation, which is not anything to do with the NYPD. Let's listen to the rest of this because he gets into a little bit more.
To that hostel in Upper Manhattan. So along with all of that, there are some documents that the police said seem to be relevant to this case. I think we would stop short right now because we don't have enough information of calling that a manifesto, but we are told by investigators they believe he's carrying documents that may relate to motive.
Okay, I understand you're saying stop short now with regard to those documents because obviously this is an ongoing investigation, as your former ilk used to say, John Miller. But talk about this with regard to the decision that police made. It was on Friday that we were talking shortly after the police decided to, in your words, crowdsource and put the picture of this individual out publicly. We don't know yet if this is the guy, but if it is, that tactic was the game changer.
Well, it was. And I mean, it hangs on a couple of things. One, finally being able, after this massive video canvas, using so many detectives, to find that single moment. And you're looking at it right now. That single moment where he dropped the mask, he still had the hood on, and you could see that face and $1 million smile as he was talking to that hotel clerk at the hostel and asking people, if you know this person, if you see this face, no matter where you are in the country, we're looking for that call. So that worked today.
And John, with regard to the documents and the motive, is there anything else that your sources are leaning into? We know that, first of all, the bullet casing, which you talked about again last week, with some etchings on them suggesting the idea that this could be related to the United CEO's job, and the idea that it is health insurance, which is not exactly a popular industry right now. And then, of course, what happened over the weekend with the backpack that was found in Central Park and Monopoly money inside.
So the bullets had the writing on them: deny, delay, depose. Theoretically, these are the 3 Ds that critics use against the insurance industry when they say they're trying to slow down payments on claims and fight those with members of their customer base. So that's one, the monopoly money, perhaps a sign of greed. But when you look at what does this mean today, they have a person in custody. They're questioning that person. They have a gun. They have multiple false IDs, including one that may be relevant. So if you take that together and then say, what does the NYPD have to bring to this? They have DNA recovered from a water bottle that the suspect bought in a Starbucks, and a power bar that they recovered parts of or the wrappers of, and a phone where they have a viable fingerprint. So that's a lot of forensic evidence that they can run against the fingerprints of the individual in custody, the DNA that they will get a search warrant to get from him if he doesn't give it voluntarily. And if in fact he's carrying documents that relate to this, a weapon that may be matched ballistically to the things that were recovered at the scene, including the shell casings and the bullets, this could come together very quickly, fairly quickly, and very solidly in terms of evidence.
I don't want to lose sight of the most important thing that you're reporting was found on this person, which is a gun. I mean,
that's
that
right.
Could be the
and
ball
I mean,
game.
We talk about the smoking gun. If this gun is ballistically matched to this crime, then the rest of the evidence, will surround that. But that's going to be something that they can determine within a high degree of certainty in a relatively short time. And I mean, one thing we're not mentioning here is there's a citizen involved here who had the care to look at those photos, to look at that individual, to probably compare them right there. I mean, imagine someone looking at their phone, looking at that customer, and making that call, which also means that if our reporting is correct, that it's a McDonald's employee, they are eligible for this $50,000 reward from the FBI and $10,000 from the NYPD.
Quite a story, absolutely. If this just
Ed, let's talk about the gun. This is not a typical something that we'd see. Of course, we don't know the exact identification of this firearm, but if they can take that gun that was taken off of this subject today and match it up to the shooting in New York City, I mean, again, he used a term, the smoking gun. This is making an ironclad case where you really do, you won't have it out. He won't have it out in any way, shape, or form with the video, with the IDs if he used it, the gun. This is huge as it pertains to this case. Ed, your thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. It is the proverbial smoking gun. Okay. If that in fact matches ballistically to the rounds recovered from the victim's body, okay, and the cartridge cases and the live cartridges recovered from the sidewalk. If it all comes back to that particular gun, it's in his possession. Yeah, he's not wiggling out from underneath this. He may, they may have to do a series of psychological exams on this guy, and based upon what I'm hearing, anecdotally from his social media accounts, he's been raving a lot. So, they might go with a psych defense.
Hi, everyone. Those two major legal.
Sorry, Ed. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they may go with a psychological defense here if this plays out the way it's going.
Absolutely, 100%. Here's ABC News from 5 minutes ago, so I just want to listen to this.
Being questioned right now in Altoona. We're working off a tip. Police stopped a person traveling by bus to Altoona, Pennsylvania. That's about 276 miles west of New York City, and this is after a major national manhunt. Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Richardson live in Central Park with the latest on this breaking story. Kimberly.
Well, David, this big break coming less than 24 hours after Mayor Eric Adams told me the net was closing. A team of NYPD officers had been in the Atlanta area looking for any leads, but have now wrapped that mission and have shifted their focus, on Altoona, Pennsylvania, to city, again, about 270 miles from here between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. We now know, a man is in custody. And also what's interesting is that they found on him a weapon that is very similar to the weapon used in this murder. I want you to take a look what's going on here in Central Park. Divers are just to get back into this pond near Bethesda Fountain. This is day 3. They are searching the water for a possible murder weapon. But again, depending on what happens in Altoona, Pennsylvania, they may clear this scene as well. It is day 3 of this methodical search in this pond for really any evidence in this case. We're also seeing new video from the last Wednesday morning right before the shooting. You see the suspect, as Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch described, lying in wait on West 54th Street. He knows precisely the moment UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson appears walking outside the Hilton at around 6:45 Wednesday morning. The suspect makes his moves, walks across the street, and opens fire. The suspect took off riding a bike through Central Park. He ditched his backpack in the park. He jumped in a taxi, and investigators believe he took a bus out of town, possibly to Pennsylvania. A motive? That is still a mystery, but we may soon know more depending on what happens again in Altoona. This nationwide manhunt includes multi agencies on the local, state, and federal level.
They have DNA that they've extracted from 2 things, a water bottle and a power bar, which he purchased together at the Starbucks. But that, when they ran that through CODIS, which is the DNA version of the fingerprint data, that didn't pop with anything. So what they have is they have good evidence for when they identify somebody.
And we may be close to that person, a computer, and again, a gun matching the weapon. Hostile here in New York City on the Upper West Side. Also on that person, a computer, and again, a gun matching the weapon that was used in this murder. Mayor Adams expected to brief the reporters at about 1:30 today. We're sure that police will be there, and we will bring all the information to you here. And of course, on AB.
All right, let's check for that, Ed. Supposedly there's going to be a briefing. So I just want you to talk a little bit while I search for that. Wallace?
Yes.
All right, I'm searching for the news conference. So just a little bit of your thoughts on what they got. It looks like his ID has been put out there. It looks like it's in the chat. People are looking at social media.
New York Post has got him reported his name and everything. So it's just going to run from here now. So, everybody's going to be looking at his social media. Everybody is looking at his Twitter account, X rather, and Facebook and all this stuff. And it's all out there now. So it's all coming together nicely and all pointing in one direction.
This is the news feed for the press conference. I guess we're going to be hearing from Mayor Adams. Looks like he's blasted his picture all over the little thumbnail for this, but this is ABC, and this is waiting. They're waiting outside of probably inside of one police plaza for the press conference. Hopefully we'll get more details from the mayor as it pertains to this suspect. And again, his name's being plastered all over the chat here. We're not going to put it out there until it's confirmed. You guys can help yourselves to putting it out there and looking around, but that's not what we do here. So.
Well, like if everything that's being reported in the papers now about who this guy is, his age, his education and everything, it looks like a Unabomber Ted Kaczynski scenario.
Yeah, it certainly does from all accounts here. And a lot of people in the chat are confused and like, why did this guy hold on to the weapon? Why didn't he ditch it? Why did he hold on to all the fake IDs? If he was so methodical and smart as some of the people were making him out to be, why does he hold on to everything? And this could be also a component of that mental health illness part, is that he needed to hold on to this because he wanted to have these little trophies, Ed. And we hear about this with a lot of different people who commit heinous acts. They keep things, or they go back to the crime scene to collect things or to see. So,
hey, Ron?
Yeah,
I'm going to have to jump off, and I'll jump back on as soon as I can.
Okay, no problem.
All
right, guys. So we're waiting on this press conference. I've got it queued up. I'm going to try to cover it. I got to get out of here in a short period of time. But again, this is Mayor Adams and the press conference. Let's do a little bit of searching while we're hanging out here. Let's do a little bit of searching and see what is going on some of the other parts of town. Yeah, they're still waiting. All right, how many of you guys want to hang around to listen to okay, here we go.
A strong person of interest in the shooting that shook our city last week. CEO Brian Thompson of UnitedHealthcare was the victim of a senseless act of violence. Our officers have been working around the clock. Many of them did not go home to pursue this individual. It was crucial that we were able to remove him off the streets of America, and we were going to seek him out no matter where he was at the time. And so this is a strong person of interest. The police commissioner and chief of detectives will go over where we are right now in the investigation. He matches the description of the identification we've been looking for. He's also in possession of several items that we believe will connect him to this incident. How did we do it? Good old-fashioned police work. The chief of detectives and the police commissioner made the decision to release as much of a photo that we had at the time. We sent it across the country, and someone, a McDonald's employee, did something we ask every American to do. If you see something, say something, but most importantly, do something. And they did. And because of that, we believe we have a strong person of interest to deal with this case. I want to now turn it over to the police commissioner of the city of New York, Commissioner Tisch.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Earlier this morning in Altoona, Pennsylvania, members of the Altoona Police Department arrested Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old male, on firearms charges. At this time, he is believed to be our person of interest in the brazen targeted murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of UnitedHealthcare, last Wednesday in Midtown Manhattan. The suspect was in a McDonald's and was recognized by an employee who then called local police. Responding officers questioned the suspect, who was acting suspiciously and was carrying multiple fraudulent IDs as well as a U.S. passport. Upon further investigation, officers recovered a firearm on his person, as well as a suppressor, both consistent with the weapon used in the murder. They also recovered clothing, including a mask consistent with those worn by our wanted individual. Also recovered was a fraudulent New Jersey ID, matching the ID our suspect used to check into his New York City hostel before the shooting incident. Additionally, officers recovered a handwritten document that speaks to both his motivation
It's a wrap.
and mindset. NYPD detectives are en route to Pennsylvania as we seek to interview the subject further. This apprehension is thanks to the tireless work of the greatest detectives in the world, and of course, the strong relationships we have with our local law enforcement partners on every level, local, state, and federal. We all serve the same public safety mission. And this case, which captured the attention of an entire nation, is another example of how connected we are and how important it is to work together, share information, and pursue every lead. For just over 5 days, our NYPD investigators combed through thousands of hours of video, followed up on hundreds of tips, and processed every bit of forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, IP addresses, and so much more to tighten the net. We deployed drones, canine units, and scuba divers. We leveraged the domain awareness system, Argus cameras, and conducted aviation canvasses. And our detectives also went door to door, interviewing potential witnesses and doing the good old-fashioned police work that our investigators are famous for. This combination of old school detective work and new age technology is what led to this result today. And we must also acknowledge the instrumental role the media and the public played in this case. The images that we shared with the public were spread far and wide, and the tips we received led to the recovery of crucial evidence. We should never underestimate the power of the public to be our eyes and our ears in these investigations. This is the third time in 3 weeks that a member of the public has seen something and said something and done something that led to a high-profile arrest. The triple stabbing homicide in Manhattan, the gunpoint robberies in Queens during which an NYPD officer was shot, and now this. Now, the case will continue through the criminal justice process. And while we are proud of today's accomplishment, we must, of course, remember that a family is in mourning. I want to again extend my sympathies to Brian's family, his co-workers, and all who knew him. Finally, I want to thank the women and men of the NYPD, especially our Detective Bureau personnel, with a strong assist from our intelligence analysts. We also thank the SAC of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division, Leslie Rodriguez-Bekshies. And I want to commend the staff of the Manhattan DA's office, and especially DA Alvin Bragg. He has been working with us 24/7 on this case, and I'm incredibly grateful for his partnership. I'll now pass it along to our great Chief of Detectives, Joe Kenny, who will provide additional information. Chief.
Kudos, Chief of Detectives Joe Kenny.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. As the Commissioner stated earlier, a male was taken into custody today in Altoona, Pennsylvania this morning. He has been identified as Luigi Nicholas Mangione. He's a male, 26 years old. He was born and raised in Maryland. We know he has ties to San Francisco, California, and his last known address was Honolulu, Hawaii. He has no prior arrest history in New York. Members of the NYPD Detective Bureau are currently traveling to Pennsylvania with members of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to interview this subject. This case was brought to a successful conclusion based on the coordinated effort between numerous NYPD units, including the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Bureau, our federal partners at the FBI, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and of course, members of the Altoona Police Department in Pennsylvania. Yes. On Thursday, one day after this crime was committed, the NYPD released a photo of the shooter in this case. This picture was obtained by the NYPD during one of their extensive video canvasses. We took that photograph and we asked for the public's help in identifying this subject, and the public responded. Hundreds of tips began to pour into our hotline. Each tip was investigated thoroughly, and we began to release additional photographs as they came into our possession. The NYPD provided these photos to numerous media outlets. Local, national, and international outlets released the photo via television, print, social media, and online content. Luckily, a citizen in Pennsylvania recognized our subject and called local law enforcement. Members of the Altoona Police Department responded to the call, and based on their investigation, they notified the NYPD. This investigation is still active and ongoing. Thank you very much.
Shooting first, and then we'll. Mark?
I had a couple questions about the document that he was found in possession with. Can you go a little bit more in depth about those motivations that you mentioned? Was that CEO specifically named in that document? Was there anything more about him wanting to go after others? And also in that document, was there any indication that explains us how the level of detail that he went into killing him?
He's asking about the manifesto.
That document is currently in the possession of the Altoona Police Department as part of their investigation. But just from briefly speaking with them, we don't think that there's any specific threats to other people mentioned in that document, but it does seem that he has some ill will toward corporate America.
Over here, sir.
NJ?
Chief, was the suspect wearing a mask at the time he was spotted in the McDonald's? And also, criminal cases often have a linchpin. Can you point to a single linchpin that helped crack this case?
There's numerous linchpins in this case, in the fact that we've recovered an enormous amount of forensic evidence, an enormous amount of video, and once again, with your help and the public's help. So I really couldn't put it on one thing, but if I had to, it would be the release of that photograph from the media.
What you said he had a passport on him. Do you believe he was trying to flee the country? And also, are you still looking for any evidence in Central Park in regards to the bike?
We had divers in the water yesterday that came up negative results. The passport, we don't believe that he was planning on doing any traveling at this time. We don't think at this point in our investigation, we don't think he was trying to flee the country.
The person at the McDonald's, were they buying food? What were they doing at that exact moment?
He was an employee at the McDonald's.
Right. But what was the suspect doing?
He was sitting there eating.
Will the suspect be brought back to New York and charged here? And when?
We're going to have to work that out with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He's going to be facing gun charges there. And at some point, we'll work out through extradition to bring him back to New York to face charges here, working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office.
He'll be back shortly.
Hi, Anita from the New York Post. I was just hoping to get more details on the capture itself. Did he put up a fight? Did he say anything to cops? And we've also reported that he published online anti-health care industry rantings. Can you share with us some of the services that he posted on?
We're still working through his social media. We're going to do a complete scrub of that. Preliminarily, like I said, he seems that he has some ill will toward corporate America, but that will all come out as part of our investigation. We're not done here. We're still going to be putting this together. We're still going to be working very hard to bring this to a successful conclusion.
And the capture itself, did he put up a fight? Did he say anything to police?
I don't have that information.
She asked if he put up a fight.
Can you elaborate on how he got there, the path he took from Port Authority and on the George Washington Bridge to Altoona, PA?
Same thing. This just happened this morning. We'll be backtracking his steps from New York to Altoona, Pennsylvania.
I was going to ask if he knew anything, if he took a bus to Philadelphia first and then somehow got to Altoona.
We're still working on that. We're still working through that.
Is there any indication that anybody else was helping him from the inside, as far as tracking the CEO's movements?
Once again, we're still working this investigation very hard. It's not at its conclusion yet. That could come out during our investigation, but as of right now, we have no indication that took place.
Chief, did he have any weapons or anything like that with him when he was arrested?
He was in possession of a ghost gun that had the capability of firing a 9mm round and a suppressor.
Can you get into a little bit about the technical aspects of the investigation? I know you deployed an unprecedented amount of technology. You also activated the Sentry program through Intel. Can you talk about how that's going to play into actually building the case as far as cell phone and all of the other technical aspects of what you've done?
In this case, it really came down to technology was the use of drones in Central Park, and really comes down to the video canvas that we did. We used every source of video that we could collect, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours from hundreds of sources, and that helped bring this to where we are right now.
Ghost gun. We're going to talk about it.
Is it believed to be the gun used in the shooting? And there was some talk that it was a veterinarian type gun. Is that accurate?
No, as of right now, the information we're getting from Altoona is that the gun appears to be a ghost gun, may have been made on a 3D printer. The capability of firing a 9mm round, obviously that will come out during our ballistics testing.
Ghost guns are untraceable, no serial numbers. They're homemade, basically put together in someone's home. Very problematic, and that's what he was in possession of, a ghost gun. We'll get into it. I'll play a video about it.
Oliver? Yeah, Oliver Barnes from the Flash Times. Do you have any indication like how long this handwritten, is it a handwritten manifesto that you found on the suspect? And then also whether or not he put it online at all?
Don't know if it's online. As of right now, it's a handwritten 3-page document.
Chief, does he have ties to that area, and was he someone who knew by name before his arrest?
We believe he may have attended college in Pennsylvania, but like I said earlier, he has ties to Maryland and California and Hawaii.
You knew him by name before today. Was his name on your radar?
Excuse me?
Was his name on your radar? Was he someone who you had been looking into before his arrest?
No, we did not have his name prior to today.
There's the answer. Mayor Adams was calling the bluff and talking out his ass. So on Saturday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said, we have him identified. And we heard just now from the chief of detectives that they did not have him identified. Kudos to the civilian who called 911, the civilian worker at McDonald's. Again, this is a partnership between law enforcement and the good law-abiding citizens. I say it all the time. Those of you who are here with me on a regular basis, we need law enforcement cannot be effective without good law-abiding, honest citizens who are not cheerleaders for murderers. Those of you who are cheering on this guy, you need to look yourself in the mirror and you need to say to yourself, I need to get professional help. Because if you want to cheer on someone who's capable of taking another person's life, no matter what that person did, 2 wrongs don't make a right. This is what Chief of Detectives is saying. Basically, without the help of a civilian, this case would not have been solved.
Did he have any prior arrests? I know they were not for New York City, but is there any prior arrests anywhere else in the country?
We have not come across any arrests in the country.
Chief, hi, how are you? On 2 things. On the ghost gun, is it something you're going to be looking into to see if he made it himself? Can he make that himself? Or would he have to buy the gun the way it was?
No, once again, that would be part of our investigation as we follow up.
I mean, obviously he's going to face murder charges, but is there any chance that he could face any other charges because he was targeting the CEO and because of his writings and other things that we're now finding on him? Federal charges or
that determination will be made by Alvin Bragg.
Ugh.
Actually, does he have in Pennsylvania that you know of? Are they in Altoona specifically?
We believe he attended college in Pennsylvania.
Does he know anybody in Pennsylvania?
Wouldn't be able to tell you that.
All right, we're going to take one more question on the shooting, Marla, and then we're going to go.
What you talk about the manifesto having said things against corporations, but specifically UnitedHealthcare, and do you believe that Mangione acted alone?
We believe at this point, our investigation is leaning toward he was acting alone. So, like I stated earlier, we're still working through the investigation. We're not stopping today. And as far as the manifesto, like I said, I don't have the complete details of that. It's in the possession of the Altoona Police Department.
We're going to shift to Fox.
Yep. Good job, Chief. Commissioner, Chief Maggi.
Looks like we're going to hear more from Mayor Adams. He's going to try to toot his horn now. Yeah, they got him.
You have been listening to Mayor Adams
Again,
in the
great job by the New York City
NYPD
Police
talking about person of interest now being questioned in the fatal shooting of a healthcare CEO. He's continuing the press conference, so let's listen in.
Ghost guns. We have really talked about this since the beginning of the administration. They could be made on a 3D printer. and they are extremely dangerous, and we must do more on the federal level to clamp down on the availability of ghost guns. And it just really leads into just the top headers of what we did last week and what we're doing this week. This week is all about public safety. Public safety, I've stated over and over again, is a prerequisite to our prosperity, and we're going to continue to make this city a safe city, safest big city in America. But anytime you have a crime of this magnitude, it shocks us, and it really has a major impact on the perception of crime in this city. This crime has continued to go down. We're going to continue to do what's needed. Today, we announced an Every Block Count initiative.
Unrelated charges related to PD. We're talking about a person of interest now being questioned in the fatal shooting of the healthcare.
All right, so that was enough of Mayor Adams. What we have here is a good combination of a partnership between the NYPD and other police agencies and the general public. This perpetrator, Luigi Mangione, 26 years old, born as they stated here, born in Maryland. Last known location of residence residing in Hawaii, which is within the United States. Last known residence in Hawaii, born and raised in Maryland. He is, from all appearances, male, white. They didn't say it. They just said male, 26. But more information will come out as it's publicly released. But I just want to say that, hey, we did talk about this. I made a statement on Friday when the press conference, actually Wednesday, and then we went live again on Friday. But I made a statement when they talked about hunting, the manhunt for this perpetrator. I said, and those of you who are here with me know it, I said it. I said the NYPD, along with the partnerships of outside police agencies, state, local, federal, and the public, we will bring this guy to justice. So I want to say thank you to all of you who are out there supporting and standing up against anarchy, standing up against people like this who take matters into their own hands and commit murder. So on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, I want to thank you for being here. This concludes our live stream. I'm going now to get my treatment for my lymphoma, the cancer that I obtained from responding to September 11th, the attack on our country. So I'm going to head over to get my treatment. Wish me luck. Send me prayers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. And remember, thank you for supporting the police. The police are the gatekeepers of good. So thank you all. God bless, and we'll see you soon. Peace from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We'll talk to you soon.